Hello, I'm Dr. Jeanette Raymond, psychologist, psychotherapist, and relationship expert, here to talk to you about grief and mourning. And this is the second in my series. And today I'm going to talk to you about the loss of a parent that you didn't get on with. You'd be surprised how many people I see in my role as a psychotherapist who have great confusion and mixed feelings about the news they get that a parent has died whom they are estranged from, they didn't like, who was abusive, who was mean, who they didn't get on with, who they tried hard to please and failed. And it's a whole morass of feelings. There's guilt because they think they should feel something for a parent. There's relief that this awful person has passed and they don't have to kind of hold some place for them inside anymore. Then it kind of feels like, well, it's a stranger to me. I don't really care. I don't have any feelings. It doesn't affect me. And those are some of the feelings at the beginning. And other people around them think, gosh, you just lost a parent. Don't you have any concern? Don't you want to go and see to their stuff? Don't you want to mourn and grieve with other relatives? And they think you're a bit odd because you're acting very mechanically, robotically, as if it's just someone you don't know, someone who's a stranger to you. Because you've kind of made them into a stranger to protect yourself from their previous abuse, their lack of care for you, their negligence, as using you as a parenting figure or whatever. Maybe they were alcoholic, maybe they were abandoning, maybe they left you a long time ago and never got back in touch with you. So they didn't actually parent you. And that is actually the issue of losing a parent that you never got on with, is that you didn't experience them as a parent. They did not parent you. And so that's part of the terrible, complicated grief and mourning situation that you might face. Because it's not like you're losing something that meant something, that you're going to miss, that you may have to accept letting go and things like that. One thing is, it could be good riddance. Well, they never parented me anyway. So what's the difference? Why should I mourn at their funeral? I don't want anything from them. It's too late now. They should have given it to me when I was younger. All those feelings are normal. But eventually, after that first phase, there comes the second phase when, if you're mourning and grieving the loss of a parent who you didn't get on with, you will start to feel a very dull kind of ache inside you. It doesn't throb, it's just like a kind of a weighty ache. It makes you feel very empty because in reality, the person was your biological parent and you have lost them and you have become an orphan in one sense. If you've still got one parent, maybe you're not a total orphan, but you have lost a parent, and it is a biological experience of losing one person who brought you into this world. And so you're going to have to deal with it in that way. Now, what I found is that a lot of people who are in this position rant and rave with a lot of pent up anger that they had put away because they weren't in touch with that person, so they kind of didn't have to deal with it. But now all those childhood wounds open up. The part of you that longed for your parent to see you, to play with you, to be interested in your schoolwork, to want to know about you, for them to know that you cared about them, for them to love you more than the bottle or another person in their life or their pet or their video games or whatever they were into. And you may have tried your very best as a child to please that parent who may have been abandoning, who may be negligent, who was taking drugs, who was in another world, who was being promiscuous, who didn't come home for weeks on end, who left you alone with, a single parent or a foster care person, or in some way compromised. Or it could have been a parent who was always sick and you had to parent them, and so you never got to be the kid. You were always the parent. Now all that rage is going to come out, all that childhood rage that you missed out on, you were entitled to, you didn't get. All those natural, organic, authentic longings are going to come out, and you're going to go into rage, you're going to go into crying fits, you may have panic attacks because you're feeling that child's feeling of, I don't have a parent, I don't have a parent. You might be feeling helpless. All those things are normal and natural, and you will have those feelings at some point. Now everybody's going to have them in different frequencies. It's not all the phases are not going to be jam packed one after the other like train cars, but they will happen, and they'll come and go, and they'll go back and forth, and that's normal too. And you will shift from deep rage, which is the child's rage about not having the parent they should have had and they were entitled to. That's very normal. So don't think you're a bad person if that happens. Work with a therapist to help you understand it and get over the process that you had stopped in its tracks when you were a kid because you didn't have a parent, and so you couldn't do anything as a child. You had to survive. Well, now you can, because that body has passed. But what you're really mourning is not that actual person who was the body of your parent. You're mourning and grieving the loss, mostly mourning, not grieving, mostly mourning, which is a long-term thing of letting go, and accepting the fact that your parent was weak, was not able to be the parent that you deserved and that you needed and you longed for and you tried so hard for, and that it was not your fault. You did not do anything to make your parent abuse you, neglect you, abandon you, turn you into their parent, or any of those things. So what you're mourning is the role that they should have played, not the actual person. And once you separate those two things out, you will have a healthy mourning process. If you keep those two things together, like this body and the role that they played, you will forever be stuck in a grieving process that we call complicated grief, because you won't be able to mourn that loss, because you're keeping the body, the actual person who didn't do right by you, and the role that they should have played. Yes, you need to mourn that loss, the role they should have played. And you can get it. You may get it from a current spouse. You may have had it from another family member. You may have had it from a therapist or a whole bunch of other people. But it'll never be the same. You will always feel let down. You will always feel betrayed. But once that body dies, you have a chance to be free, to process and mourn the loss of the role the person should have played, the good parent, the good enough parent. I wish you well in that process. If you're in this place, make some comments below, ask me some questions. I'll be glad to help. Till next time, bye.